This meeting is being
Good,
recorded.
good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming to the Today's Restaurant News Networking Group, Chapter 2. We are a group of vendors in the food service industry who are experts in our field, and we have hundreds of years of experience collectively among us. Restaurateurs are welcome to join us at a meeting, and we are here to help you solve any problems you might have. And if we can't do it here, we know where we can get the answer for you. So give us a call at 561-620-8888, or go on our website and sign up, get an invitation at trnusa.com. And if you come in late to this and you want to see all of the meeting, you can see it on our YouTube page, which is Today's Restaurant, and sign up for a subscription and like what we do. What I was saying before was, as we all know, we are in a period of high inflation, and this is affecting every household. You go out shopping, I get the reports from Terry, a dozen eggs, it used to be $1.80, now it's $3.80. So it's affecting everybody in some shape or form. But restaurants in particular are being affected in an interesting way. Prices are going up for food products and everything else, but prices are not going up at the same, their prices to the consumer is not going up at the same rate, because they would price themselves out of the ballpark. So what are they going to do, and what are we going to do in our businesses, because we all have to buy supplies, etc., and prices are going up? What can we do? What can a restaurant do to negate some of those price increases? And what Bruce was talking about, going towards robotics and going towards systems that eliminate cost, that's some of the things that have to be done. Unfortunately, my robot man didn't show up again today, so I thought he would be here to help us on this, but anybody have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I wanted to jump in here about robotics or what's going on with the coffee. I meant to send this to you, Howard. It's about a woman, that consultant I work with out in Arizona, represents those pizza machines. You go up, I think it's like $6-7. You put your money in about 3 minutes comes out a pizza in a box, heated, ready to go. And what Bruce was talking about, this robotics, not to throw anybody under the bus, but the new generation really doesn't want to communicate, or doesn't want to go to the counter and talk to somebody. They all want it like now. They don't want to talk to anybody. They all want it like now. Go to the machine, get your coffee or get your pizza. We're coming, I guess, hate the word antisocial, most of the generation today. I don't know if it's COVID or just what's been going on out there in the world, but you're going to see a lot more things with that they're automated. I think if this automation with this coffee machine produces a good cup of coffee, I guess, then that replaces the what does it call those? What they call the people behind Starbucks that makes the coffee.
Barista.
Okay, so I see it with the young kids today. They don't want to. That's kind of what I see going on. I think there's going to be more automation. One prime example, Taco Bell tried that a couple of years ago. I think, and even McDonald's does. I think it gears towards the younger crowd. I think if you get an older person in, they're going to get frustrated. They want service. They want to go to the counter and you might be served. But that's kind of what I see going on.
Ed, you want to say something? Ed, you want to?
I was just going to go ahead, Howard.
No, so Ed.
Howard, I was going to say today's Wall Street Journal had exactly what you were talking about. They were talking about Darden Industries, or Darden out of Orlando, saying that their sales are up like, I think it was 4.3%, but they're losing money because their costs are going up almost 10%, and they're not passing on the increases to customers.
Right.
And the article was talking about how they're going to address it is going to be taking place in the next couple of months at Darden. So that would be Olive Garden, Longhorn, Capitol Grill. So something's going to be happening down there soon as to what they're going to do. Are they going to up prices? I think they're going to partially up prices, but I think they're also going to play with the portions and change what they're serving. From what I can read between the lines.
Ed, it's just like with the toilet paper. I mean, and a lot of these packaged goods. I mean, when you go in there and you look at the roll of toilet paper today, well, guess what? It's not as thick as it used to be. That hole in the middle has gotten a lot bigger. Same thing with the cereal. The boxes are the same, but the product inside the box is less. So I was just talking to a couple of folks the other day about going to the dollar store to get some stupid little item for my glasses, and I was corrected by being told that it's no longer the dollar store; it's the $1.25 store.
Yeah,
and the truth of the matter is, if all your costs around you are going up, you really don't have that many options, but you have to raise your selling price for whatever it is you're selling, because otherwise your margins are going to shrink, and eventually you're not going to be around much longer. So it's and just to Brian's point, Brian is absolutely 100% correct. The kids today, and when I say kids, my wife enjoys karaoke, and we went to this place called Rosalita's. I'm going to give them a plug. It's a wonderful Mexican restaurant. It's been around forever on Lantana Road and just west of I-95. And we were there for karaoke night, and anyway, I'm speaking to the people there, and I'm watching and listening to the most cases they were horrible singers, but anyway, I'm noticing a table, and they had a young kid who's about 11, 12 years old. There was a mother and a father. All three of them were at the table. All three of them were on their phones. There was no conversation at the table, and I'm just thinking to myself, I mean, where is this world going to? Mm-hmm. And Brian's right. I don't know if antisocial is the right word, because they are socializing, but they're doing it through technology. They're doing it through their phones, and where again. They go into a restaurant. They have no qualms with using their phone to make the payment and ordering it online and picking it up, or even worse, my daughter used to eat very well every week. However, I don't think she went to a restaurant more than twice a week, and the rest of the time it was being delivered to the door. Now, when we were growing up, at least when I was growing up, we didn't have to the door delivery. We had something called takeout. And you had to get off the chair. You had to, you could call it in, and you'd go and you'd pick it up and you'd bring it back. Today, it's just a completely different mindset. They have avenues of purchasing things that we didn't. And I hate to admit it, I'm not speaking for myself, but older people are less likely to change and adapt. So, that's the situation. And if you're trying to serve the public, you've got to serve this new generation as well as your old clientele, and it can be challenging.
You know what the beauty of that, what you just said is, and I agree with you, but the beauty of it is that each generation travels together through time. And when they become, I'm not going to say old age, but I'm going to say more mature, and they have children, their children are going to be doing what their group does, and they're going to look back and say, what's wrong with them? Why are they doing that? And, it happens to everybody. And I'll give you a perfect example. Terry and I was watching the other night, the opening of the St. Gennaro Festival in New York. Every September, they have a festival on Mott Street. I don't know if anybody's ever been there. It used to be, when I was down there, it was mobbed. You could hardly walk down the street.
Right.
Now,
And it was like Christmas.
yeah, it was yeah.
Except Christmas.
Now
food.
people are walking through the feast with restaurants on both sides of the street, cannolis and sausage and peppers and zeppelis and chicken tenders and every kind of food. You smell it. How could you go by and not eat? All these kids, like Bruce said, kids, I don't know how old they are, on their phone like this. Come on, you're gonna walk over the guy in front of you.
Yeah.
Well,
and not even experience what you're not in the experience that you're in. You go there to experience it, but you're on a phone.
No, that's incorrect, Howard. You went there in your generation.
Yes.
To experience it with your parents. Now, like Brandon's age, that's, like my son. My son is 50 years old. And for him to go there, he would be on his phone along with his 24-year-old daughter and son. It wouldn't mean the same for them.
Right.
Every generation, if my mom or my grandmother saw the commercials on TV for tampons or condoms or underwear, holy cow, they wouldn't even know what it was.
That's my point.
Yeah. So every generation advances to another technology, and our generation and our kids' generation, their kids are going to look back and say, what the heck were they thinking? So it's everybody outgrows their generation, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
But you know what?
There's nothing
I
we
think
can't go back.
you're going to see two things happen though, because on the other hand, the business owners are having a really, really hard time hiring people because it's the same people that are on their phones coming in and order that don't want to socialize. They're the same people that are applying for the jobs or not applying. So in the long run, spend $10,000 on a robotic system that you don't have to pay a ridiculous, minimum wage to, and over the lifetime of that machine, you don't have to pay out health insurance or anything like that. So it might be a little bit cheaper for them in the long run. And the robot is going to socialize with you. As weird as that sounds, you can program the robot to socialize with a human, and that's what Zuckerberg's doing right now, is capitalizing on Meta and the metaverse, because people are wanting an alternate reality because they have no purpose. So the only purpose they have is to walk down the street and stare at their phone because they don't know what it's like.
You do realize the irony in that people want to socialize, and if they could do, but just not using their phones.
Well, the sad part is that
do the same thing.
The sad part is, the sad part is that Howard's right. You're on your phone and you're missing the entire world around you, but you're in an alternate reality where you would rather be, because you control the outcome of who you are in that alternate reality. So you're going to have people, which is sad, but they would rather put on their Oculus and live in the metaverse for 12 hours a day than go out into the real world, because in the metaverse and Oculus and all this, they can be whoever they want to be, and people won't even know that that's really them. So
Right.
it's kind of like, you know, it's a way for them to become something, not knowing, you know, who they kind of already are, and they can be that person out in reality. Because, you know, when I was growing up, we didn't have, you know, cell phones and all that stuff. And if you got bullied, you just fought back. Now it's not like that. If you're getting bullied or people are making fun of you, you just turn on your phone and go into an alternate universe, into a safe space, a cry space, and you can be in this protected little bubble and not have to worry about coming of age and becoming and handling these things that people handle, that we had to handle. I mean, my parents weren't there when I was at school or in the mall or doing what I was doing. I had to handle myself, but the kids don't have to do that these days. You know?
Well, actually, that's not exactly right. But I just wanted to bring up one point before I jump on that.
And I have two boys that are young.
I was in Costco, and there were a bunch of parents wheeling their kids around, and we're talking 3 and 4 year olds, and every single one of them had their own. It wasn't even a phone. They had their own little tablet.
iPad, yeah, iPad.
And you know, I'm going like, okay, the kid's 3 and 4 years old, and they're already working on their tablet and doing all sorts of stuff. And to your point, Brandon, it's the Oculus is, you know, I've had the Oculus, and I'm not walking around with that thing on my head because it doesn't
you
make
just sit in
sense.
your bedroom. You just sit in your bedroom and go into an alternate world.
Right. But where the adaption's really going to come to play is when it comes down to Google glasses, where you don't have this big clunky thing that you're wearing, but it's built into your sunglasses.
There's another brand out there that's doing that now too.
And by the way, the kids are still getting bullied, only now they're getting bullied in TikTok and Facebook and all these social media sites that they're hanging out in. So the bullying hasn't stopped. It's just adapted to the new world that they're living in. So
you know, my point to the bullying is there's no way for you to become of age when that happens. You just have to, you can delete yourself and come up with a brand new profile. No one knows that it was you that was in the other profile. You're now a new person on a different profile.
That's
So you
right.
don't have to deal with it. You don't have to go and deal with, well, I'm being bullied over here. Okay, whatever. I'll just delete this profile. And in 5 seconds, you're in a whole different group of friends who didn't know you under that other name. And you can even catfish them and put a new face and not even be yourself. You can use.
I'm sorry. What's a catfish?
It means that if I go online and put a picture of someone who I'm not, and I create a life for myself, and I friend you, you think
Right.
you're talking to that person who's not real,
Right.
and I can become.
All right, so it's an avatar.
Yes.
No,
Well,
it's a false
It's a-
profile. It's a
false
made up
profile.
person. Let's say you're on a single
An
site.
avatar or an
Don't think
emoji,
for a second
or
that
you've
probably
made a new
50%.
emoji. You've made a new, yes, a
Right.
whole new person, like Skylar did. Skylar did a whole. She's got like 10 of them for that very same reason.
Right.
She shut down, made a new person, made a whole new person. It's like on Lost in Space 100 years ago. You can make a whole new person. You could be a robot. You could be whatever you want to be.
So much
but
so
people use
where
it-
I can, so much so where I can create a profile for all my family members who aren't real. So when you
Right.
go to try to vet me and you call or email that family member, I'm in control of that email or that phone call now.
Right.
So you're talking
Right.
to me the whole entire time, but you don't even know it's me. And all the other
Right.
profiles in my profile are fake too. And you're just getting catfished for your friendship, or someone who I want to be friends. I don't like who I am. And I don't like the life I was living 10 minutes ago. So I just drop that life, create an entire new person profile with an entire new family. And I'm in control of all those social media platforms for every single one of them. And I'm communicating with you, but you think you're talking to 10 people, but you're really talking to one person.
So when do you have time to have a real life? I mean, you know, at some
Well, I
point.
mean, that is your real life. That's what I'm saying. That's the reality they know. Their real life is
These are
becoming
the
something they're
kids.
not.
Yes.
And no one
These
wants
are the
to-
kids
and-
that
and-
don't want to be who they are.
Right. And they can't get hired because they have no skills other than becoming something they're not. So that's where the antisocialness comes into, because
They can't even show up for a
face-to-face
job.
call.
So what do we do as employees? What do we do as restaurants? What to staff our businesses?
That's
buy
where the
robots.
robotics comes in.
Right.
Well, that's
Right.
the
I agree.
generation, that's the generational gap that we're dealing with. And now you see a sector of entire businesses that are popping up to help companies deal with that gap and to bridge it. So you have entire consulting firms that are dealing with people of your generation, Howard, people of my generation and my children's generation who have no idea how to communicate to one another. And they're teaching you how to deal with Generation X and Generation Y, Generation Z, and how to accommodate and deal with those type of mindsets. So there's not going to be this weird transition between generations anymore. Because before, my dad kicked me out of bed after high school and said, "You're out of here, go get a job." And I started pulling wire and was an electrician. I had no idea what I was doing. I just woke up one day and I was out of the house. So it was like, but now that doesn't happen. My son that lives, I have a son that lives with his mother up in Massachusetts, and their mindset is, oh, it's all about how we protect him and we get him, let's ease him into this life. And I'm like, go to hell, because, John Adams at 14 was the ambassador to the Netherlands. I got a son who's 19 who doesn't even know how to go in for a job interview. You see, it's like this weird. So
because they've never had jobs. But
Right.
going back to changing, to robots and so on. This is not the first time it's happened. In our lifetimes, if you remember, we used to have something called the secretary, because we used to handwrite everything, give it to the secretary or dictate it to the secretary, and she used to write. Now, what the hell is a secretary? We sit at our computer and and type it out. So technology has for a while now started to replace people, and actually for really more than a century or two, when the industrial age came in, because everything used to be done by hand. So this is nothing new. We're just shocked because it's happening in an area we didn't perceive it would happen in, meaning restaurant help. I mean, we thought that had to be done by some human being flipping a hamburger or making a pancake or whatever. And
Yeah, but Steve, it's a two-sided coin, because at the same time, you need people to manufacture these robots. You need people to service the robots. And quite frankly, the people that are doing this work are making 10 times what the servers are making, or the secretary.
100%. But
all right, so and quite frankly, these kids have to get ahead of the technology if they want to get a good job. So
no, I don't disagree with you. However, the truth is that while you're paying more, you're actually employing fewer. So there's definitely economics to it. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. I mean, let's be serious.
Yeah, but at the same time, it is. In other words, the
transition is hard always.
The payback for a robot is so much quicker.
No, I agree. But and robots break, but they hopefully they're designed in such a fashion that I know they're designed in such a fashion they repair easily, where you throw them out and replace them with a new one. Because just as you can't fix your TV, and this goes back to when there were tubes almost, or transistors. I mean, forgetting about the TVs we have now, you basically throw it out. There's no economics to the labor of repair.
Well, the transistors and tubes were even being made in China back in the 80s. So you can't
forgetting about where
get a hold of them back then.
Yeah.
Forgetting about where they're made for a second, the hiring a person, whoever you brought it up, Brandon, to actually do the repair is very expensive. So it's frequently just cheaper to throw the stupid thing out and replace it with another one, cheaper and faster.
Well, the reason they're trading in their phones, nobody goes out and buys a phone today without trading in their old phone, because they're repurposing the old phones. They need the chips, they need everything that's in there. And if they could do the same thing with TVs, I bet they would do it.
No, I don't think they are repurposing the funds. I think they're just selling them.
Well, they're
Third
taking
world.
they need the chips, there are certain things in the phones that they're reusing.
I think
Well,
that's
what
only
they
the
do is
very
like
old ones.
the iPhone that I have, it's a 12, I think.
Yep.
It's going to be obsolete here in a couple years. So what they do is if I go trade it in, this phone is not obsolete down in Nicaragua or down in
That's
Costa
right.
Rica or down in
Yeah.
Colombia, where they'll pay a handsome price of $3,000 per phone, where we're paying
Yeah.
$600 a phone here, and that's an ongoing hustle you can do today if you
Right.
want to make money.
But
Well, I got a drawer of old ones. I'm going to Nicaragua.
actually, what you do is you
So,
go and sell them on eBay.
I'm still
Yeah,
using
sell
two
them on
orange juice
eBay.
cans with a rope.
Sell them,
To,
sell them
real
on
quick.
eBay. You can sell them down there very easily. I
Yeah.
have a brother-in-law that he's Brazilian, and he takes all the phones down there, and he gets, after 4 or 5 years of use, he'll still get double the original price that he paid
Wow.
2-3 years
I'm
ago.
in.
They're trading him for kidneys in Asia.
But answer Brandon's or talk about phones. I'm still working off of 4G. I think this is a Samsung 9,
I don't
It's
know where they're
4G.
up to Samsung these days.
like 12. Well, I don't know.
Hey, Brian, I got an 8.
Maybe that's what mine is. Let me see.
What's
what
a
mine is.
4G?
Hold on. I
I've got a 4G Apple. I don't want to go to
But
5G.
but you know what's interesting? I read an article earlier this week. With all this technology and with all this anti-personal relationship experiences that we're living through, there are companies now that are returning to mail, actual sending mail, personalized mail to their employees at times. In other words, if you're a restaurant chain and you've got locations all over the country and there are outstanding employees at some of these locations, they're sending out mail with a certificate or something in it, just to incentivize,
Tobias.
you got it, their employees. And hopefully, that's part of maintaining and keeping employees.
But related to that, I was at a conference last week, which is why I wasn't here for business brokers in our area, and we're talking about marketing. And one of the things that rang true, and it always surprises me when I hear it, because it's not the first time. Apparently, what works some of the best marketing is essentially a handwritten letter.
Right.
Either dropped off in the door slot, the mail slot, so to speak, or at the receptionist, or hand carried, or even the mail is one of the best ways proven to get listings. Which every time
You're
I
right.
hear that, every
You're
time I hear that,
absolutely
astounds me.
right.
With all this, LinkedIn and other kind of contemporary marketing that's available, and I've tried, it's the old-fashioned way that seems to work the best, which is basically what it is it's a personal relationship. And the reason for the handwritten note is that someone looks like they're taking the time to get to know you or want to know you. So it's interesting how that works. With all the technology, everything that we have, sometimes the oldest way of communicating is the best, which sort of
Stephen,
Absolutely
I read
right.
a report that's basically said that it said that an executive will open up a letter and read a letter that's addressed to him, but they won't answer a phone call from somebody they don't know.
Right.
Maybe that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's
Right.
exactly what I'm saying.
Kind of like a warm intro almost.
Well, because listen, what the hell do I know? But to me, it's a very, in today's world, it's a very personal thing. When someone takes the time, it means, if you get a letter, it means a handwritten letter, it means someone took time.
That's right.
Okay.
I will say that what I'm noticing with the data and talking with restaurants and other hospitality in the hospitality industry, other businesses, is that you know, I'm coming in at kind of a good time with what I'm doing with Yum Fox because and it goes back to what Bruce was talking about with the takeout, is that a lot of these restaurants are noticing the economics behind partnering with these third-party delivery companies, and they're just getting eaten alive with fees and service taxes and all these kind of stuff. So what you're starting to see now is a lot of the restaurants are saying, hey, come pick it up and save 20%, because it's cheaper for them to give their 20% away from there than to give 30-40% away to a third-party company who is going to deliver it and then steal the data and upcharge the menu pricing and not give that restaurant the data to, and essentially stealing the data from that restaurant, because I'm not an Uber Eats customer. I'm a Chili's Outback customer. But the middleman now, the middle player, is stealing that data, and these restaurants are none the wiser, who have no idea who's ordering the food from them. So we're coming in and and we're plugging in this little niche where we're going to connect the user directly back to the restaurant, just on a platform that you can see what the restaurant deals are, and we're going to offer, you know, even deeper discounts if you go pick the food up. And I think you're seeing a lot of that happening. I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'll just jump in the car and go pick it up now, instead of paying on average $8, $9, $10 for a delivery fee. For a $6 meal, you're paying $8.99 delivery. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And that's another meal. I mean, that's crazy.
But I got to tell you, what fascinates me in this age where, you know, Uber Eats and so on is, Howard, I know you know the place, Palm Beach Bagel.
Yep.
They have their own delivery people.
Right.
And you know, it is interesting that still works. And I guess it's the economics. It pays to have, it's cheaper to have your own than go through one of the other services.
It is. You have an underwriter that's going to insure you for $1 million or $2 million insurance for a delivery driver. You pay that, what's that, $300 a year for that insurance, whatever that is. And then, you know, you pay your delivery driver, you know, whatever I think you're allowed to pay them because they're a server. You can get away with paying them a couple bucks an hour plus tips.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're doing that, but they're also saying, okay, we'll give you a $2 tip on top of the hourly wage, and then whatever you make, you know, down the road at that customer, you can take that home. We won't, you know, tap into that. And then
it apparently works for them, because I've noticed a lot of them. I noticed they have a fair number of delivery people.
Yeah.
Apparently, I think only in the morning, because I don't notice it as much during lunch. But I thought it was just in today's world, just kind of an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah, the restaurants are going back to having their own delivery drivers because they just cannot afford to pay for these absurd fees. And you know, what these delivery companies are doing now is you see them branching out into all these other things, because their business model is not sustainable. As a matter of fact, DoorDash and Uber Eats on their balance sheets have yet to be profitable, but yet they're valuing themselves at $70 billion. But that's just, you know, you have to keep your board members happy and your investors happy. So what do you do in an industry that's starting to realize that you're not helping us, and they're starting to leave in droves, and mass exodus is happening from all these third-party companies? You have to now start offering other things, because your business model is collapsing right before your eyes, but you've got to make the board members happy and the investors happy. So now you've got to think of other ways to make money, to sustain, you know, what you said your profits are going to be. And
well,
it's not really working.
That's the whole thing. The restaurant owners now have to look at other ways to make money and other methods. And there are some ways out there in the other group, and I think he came to this group. There are people who will look at your utility bills, for example, and save you money on your utility, your electric, your gas, your water. And some people are getting huge refunds for being overbilled for 3 years. Now that's an option, and with no cost up front. So I mean, that's something that people should look at. That's something that, you know, you have to look at alternative methods of income at the way things are today. The ERTC refund, that's available to any business. should at least investigate it and take a look at it. We can help you with that. Cheap plug. But I want to thank you all for for a great conversation today. That was I think that there's a lot more that we probably could talk about this topic, but I do want to get our intros in so that people can know exactly who we are and what we do. And so as soon as I said that, Rick left.
Well, it's for YouTube because the people that watch on YouTube maybe not know.
That's why I'm doing it. So Bruce, why don't you start us off?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bruce Silver, and the name of my company is Employers RX. And I like to say we are the cure for your employee management headaches. And I specialize in the professional employer organization market, and I help business owners partner with HR outsourcing companies to provide them with payroll and workers' compensation and employee benefits and HR compliance and risk management. And if you're a small business owner and you're having trouble recruiting and attracting the right kinds of people because you're trying to compete with the Olive Gardens and the Chili's of the world, give me a call at 561-843-4333, and we'll see if we can help level the playing field for you.
Okay. Thank you. Steve, good morning.
Morning, give me a second. And I have got a video tune, which of course is, I started, here we are. I've got I'm a business broker, as most of you know, and I help people buy and sell businesses. And I get these cartoons made that tell people about different aspects of the business and what they should think about in selling a business. I got one for you this morning, so I'll let it go. Oh, hold on a second. You're hearing the voice. I forgot to share it out. My apologies. Hold on.
You're my guru. You got to get this right.
Oh, I know, but sometimes, I didn't plan it out. I usually do. Anyway, that's the story. But dealing with buyers is always a problem, and keeping them engaged is an important aspect of what I do. So I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend.
That was a good presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I enjoyed that.
I would like to tell you I had a lot to do with it, but I don't.
One recommendation, Steve, is I would slow it down for the slower readers like myself.
Oh, that one was a little fast, wasn't it?
Howard, may I go next only because I smell bleach all over the place and they're cleaning the building and I got to make sure it's not coming in the window.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I smell it too.
Leads report. If anybody needs to have one, I'm Terry with Today's Restaurant News. If you're watching on YouTube, please send us an email that you want a sample report, and I will let you know what is opening where.
What's
in
your
Florida,
email?
the entire state, from the Panhandle to Key West, and in Georgia. 2 separate reports monthly. Thank you and have a good weekend.
Give us your email address.
Terry, Terri at trnusa.com. Thank you.
Thanks. Brandon, Good morning.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Brandon Rhodes, founder and CEO of Yum Fox. Yum Fox is a one-stop marketplace that solves your problem searching multiple apps to get the food that you want and love. And what we're doing is we're a front-facing marketing platform that gives you the ability to compare the pricing, the ordering, the deliveries of all the places that are close to you. And what we do is we help connect the user back directly to the restaurant and help build strong communities by doing that. This offers the restaurants the ability to give discounts directly to the user. It allows the restaurants to know who's ordering from them, and we supply that data to the restaurants in the form of a marketing package. So we are set to beta launch second week of October. We're going to do it in a focused area, probably around the Boca Raton area and FAU. So be on the lookout for that. Good things are happening. And I'm also going to probably go into some funding because this takes money, and I'm running out of it at the moment. So I need some more investors and some money. So I'll just put a little plug out for that. If anybody knows anybody that might be interested in seeing what I'm doing, looking at my pitch, really awesome. To Terry's note about the restaurants, I had a good conversation yesterday with some people that are involved with V&E. They own about 19 restaurants, 16 of which are in South Miami, and they're slated to open 6 more restaurants coming up here shortly, and 5 more in 2023.
Good to know.
V is in Victor, E is in Echo. V&E conglomerate.
Okay. Thank you. Brian, good morning.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good meeting today. I'm Brian with Rogue Financial Group. Hold on a second here. Now, sorry about that. Was my phone. Rogue Financial Group is a financial equipment financing company. It's been around for several years, working with all industries, primarily the hospitality industry, from startups to existing business, small projects, large projects, commercial equipment financing, front of the house, back of the house. That's what I do. I appreciate it, and y'all have a good weekend.
I'm going to do a cheap plug for myself and Brian. We did a email blast for Brian this week, and the results are not all in yet because we haven't done our resend, but so far he's gotten over 5,000 views on the email blast, and he might have a deal or a consistent deal client, hopefully. So
yeah, thank you, Howard. Thanks.
Ed, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ed Gerton with Seacoast Sales out of Orange Park, Florida. We're an equipment supply company that specializes in frozen dessert equipment. So we have soft serve machines, batch freezers, blast freezers, hardened cabinets, display cases, slushy machines, you name it, we can get it. Which leads into what I was going to say is most of the equipment I use is European, and the congestion in the ports in the US and the eastern side are getting worse rather than better. If you've been reading the paper, you read where on the West Coast, the longshoremen and the port people are at a standstill with negotiations. And as a result, the people on the West Coast who have ships small enough that go through the Panama Canal are diverting those boats to the Gulf Coast and the East Coast. So, and because they can't afford to get their cargo tied up in a facility that's closed down by strike, because if there's a strike, nobody can go in or anybody go out of those facilities. So the East Coast is getting hammered as far as new freight. Plus in Europe, inflation is running about between 9 and 10% right now. There are shortages of equipment, and I don't know if it's all related to the Ukrainian situation, but it is getting bad over at least the Italian people that I talked to, saying to buy equipment, to get parts is becoming harder and harder and harder. And if they order something today, or sorry, they order something tomorrow, the price could be up considerably from what they ordered today. So that's an issue that's taking place in Europe. So anything coming from Europe, prices are going to be going up and up and up. So anyway, Seacoast Sales, our website is seacoastsalesflorida.com. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.
Ed, I would have thought that the stronger dollar would have helped you, but it sounds like it's not.
No, but what it's a two-edged sword. So for the Italians, it's cheaper they get more money now by taking dollars. A month and a half ago, they wouldn't take dollars, to take euros, because they're going to get more money for it. Because we used to, if I bought something, I'd have to send it to them in euros. So 3 months ago, it was $1.14 that would buy $1. Now 99 euros, 0.99 euros will buy $1 American. So they're no longer taking euros, they're taking dollars, because they can get slightly more money for that. So from the standpoint that American products overseas are cheaper, but if you buy something from a foreigner, it costs more now. So it's a two-edged sword. And that's partly because the interest rates in Europe are not following what the United States is doing right now as far as jacking up the prime rate. I think in Europe, the last couple of months, they've only raised it 0.75 basis points, but in the United States, it's been up like 1.5 basis points. So it's made a huge difference in there. And the pound is getting hammered too, for the same reason. So is the Japanese yen. I mean, they're suffering right now because of the strong dollar. So who knows how it's all going to play out.
Right. Well, talking about two-edged swords. Good morning, Chris.
You gonna take that from him, Chris?
Ah, well, that's a metaphor for a double buffet line. Thank you. Chris Kaufman, Restaurant All-Stars, primarily finding restaurant management talent throughout the country, mostly in the Southeast United States, and working on behalf of restaurant owners who are looking to increase their human capital. We all know it's a good thing to have, how should we say, working capital, but to have human capital, it's pretty significant. Andrew Carnegie said, "You can take all my money, but leave me all my people. And within 2 years, I'll have all my money back." That's the power of people. Chris Kaufman, Restaurant All-Stars, 4 All-Star, ALLSTAR. Come back to see us.
Thank you. And I'm Howard Appel. I'm the founder and publisher of Today's Restaurant News. We've been publishing and serving the food service industry since 1996. And I thank you all for coming. If you'd like to get in touch with us to be invited to a meeting, please call us at 561-620-8888. We will see you all next week. Have a safe, healthy, and happy new week. And for those of you who celebrate, Happy New Year, and we'll see you again. Thank you.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
All right, guys.
Yes.
Ed, I'll call you.
Okay, talk to you later, Brian.
Okay, thanks.